Walt.
The St. Louis Blues and Winnipeg Jets feature two of the best forwards in the National Hockey League, Brendan Shanahan of the Blues and the Jets captain Keith Tkachuk. Their games feature power, which leads to a lack of fear and jolting checks. Both guys have no problem flexing their muscles. Both players possess great offensive skill. Shanahan, 7 goals in his last 13 games, and Tkachuk with 17 on the season. They face off tonight on the Deuce. We welcome you to tonight's venue, the Winnipeg Arena in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where the St. Louis Blues are in town to take on the homestanding Jets. Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Goldberg. Welcome to this evening's telecast. I'm joined tonight by Darren Pang. And Darren, the Jets' situation is quite simple. They're 5 points out of a playoff spot. With 11 games left, they feel they need to win 8 of those.
A lot of negative things have happened to the Winnipeg Jets the last little while, including wins and leads that they should have had altogether, but they've let them slip away. A lot of negatives. They want to get to the positives, and that's the future for the Winnipeg Jets, and they're led by this threesome right here. Keith Tkachuk, normally one of the most powerful left wingers in the National Hockey League, the prototypical power forward. He'll be playing tonight's game at center ice. That'll be a change. Jamnov in the top 3 NHL scoring. He has been brilliant offensively all year long. Teemu Selanne, in the meantime, he's been demoted to the 3rd line for tonight's game. His play has slipped somewhat.
2 nights ago was a microcosm of the Jets season. They played St. Louis at the Kiel Center. They blew a 3rd period lead. Craig Gilbert getting the game winner for the St. Louis Blues.
Well, for the St. Louis Blues, 5-on-5 hockey has been their premium, and Greg Gilbert, a great acquisition in the waiver wire from the New York Rangers. Just a leader, but 10 goals and 13 assists. He's also been a solid offensive player. He's taken it well. You say enough about him. He does it on all ends of the ice. This year, though, he's taken on a more offensive role with the St. Louis Blues, and he's been terrific.
Yeah, and you take away the Detroit Red Wings and you look at St. Louis, you probably have the hottest team in the Western Conference of the National Hockey League. And tonight we feature 2 masters of the offensive, Brett and Alex. A deeper look coming up next.
If you play ice, roller, or street hockey, then check out the special offer from Hockey Player, the magazine for those who play. Each issue is packed with...
The hidden gem in the National Hockey League this year is the Winnipeg Jets' Alexei Jamnov. Yes, he's in the top 5 scorer in the NHL, and he combines a lot of great assets. Pretty darn good moves around the net. He's got a nose for the net, but the strength as well. He's a big, strong guy that goes to the net and has terrific hands, and he's able to finish with great speed. Watch these moves. This is stuff that you pull off in summer hockey, not in the National Hockey League. Another one of the great moves by Alexei Jamnov. Great stick handler. Real quick hands, great size, and can he finish up the play as attested by his top 3 scoring this year in the NHL. His competition for tonight's game, it's the Golden Brett, a guy we always have a whole heck of a lot of fun talking about. That's right, Brett Hull's right there again. 24 goals this year. He gets in the open. He just finds a way. When the puck's on his stick, it's off his stick. Real quick and in the net. Another thing about Brett Hull, man, can he get open. He just finds a way to get in the open, receive those passes one time and right in the net. That's one of the many reasons why Brett Hull is such a prolific goal scorer. Strong on the puck, a tremendously quick shot, reads the play well, and of course he's not gun-shy. 151 shots this year, ranks amongst the best in the NHL once again. Classrooms in session, and oh, what the Hull. Yes, that's right, it's the Blues and the Jets.
Fire on Ice, ESPN2's coverage of the National Hockey League is brought to you by Outdoor Products, backpacks made in the USA. Welcome back live inside the Winnipeg Arena. The starting goalie tonight for the St. Louis Blues, none other than the man known as Cujo.
18-8-1, a pretty solid record for Curtis Joseph, and he'll have to be brilliant in the opening part of this game.
And Tim Shovelday gets the start for the Winnipeg Jets. Jets in the home white uniforms, the traveling blues of the St. Louis Blues. The airborne Korolev. Played by Teppo Numminen. Put ahead to Drake. Bounced off the play by Gilbert. Offside. Tim Cheveldae getting the start for Winnipeg, as I mentioned.
Cheveldae finished that last game, that wild and crazy 7-5 St. Louis Blues win at the Kiel Center just a couple of nights ago. For Tim Cheveldae, again, it's always important to get off on the right foot. His record isn't that solid as your 5-12-2, but don't forget the Winnipeg Jets are not the most solid defensive hockey club in the NHL as well.
Deaconin and Zamnov on the draw. All on the wing. Zamnov with Korolev. The Olympic line not playing together tonight. Here's Igor Korolev. Korolev tried to put it in front, bouncing puck off a skate, and Curtis Joseph freezes it. Mike Keenan, the head coach of the St. Louis Blues, and his team playing as well as any in the National Hockey League right now. 7-1-1 in their last 9 games.
Well, after Mike Keenan had a little bit of an outburst on March 24th, sort of accusing the players of being selfish and the team rewarding players based on marquee value instead of performance, well, this team really got itself turned around. Meanwhile, Terry Simpson, who took over from John Paddock just about a week and a half ago or so, has got this team in a 2-2 record since he took it over.
Realistically, this team could be 4-0, though. They feel they should have won the game 2 nights ago at St. Louis and also had Toronto on the ropes. Barron, Hall knocks it. Not out of the zone. Numminen puts it in. Rick Zombo plays for St. Louis. His pass bounces off the board, travels down the length of the ice surface. Numminen, the first man back, and an icing on St. Louis. They won their first 2 games under Terry Simpson, did the Winnipeg Jets. And then came a disappointing loss to Toronto. And 2 nights ago, really a microcosm of the season this year for the Winnipeg Jets. Up 5-4 late. They lose the game as Brendan Shanahan and Greg Gilbert scored 2 goals just 13 seconds apart. And man, has Shanahan been hot.
Shanahan has been on a tear, and I think he's feeling pretty good about his game and where he fits in with the St. Louis Blues and how his style of play fits in with what Mike Keenan's thinking about, and certainly Shanahan has played brilliantly the last 3 weeks.
Back towards the point, Dave Manson. Manson, the wrist shot, gloved by Cujo. Looks for a man to leave it to. He does so. Up to Glenn Anderson. Knocked back in by Nelson Emerson. Olczyk, Tkachuk playing center tonight, and Nelson Emerson, and a whistle behind the net. Hangers points for this evening, please, sir.
Hey, here we go. Hey, you got to have hangers points. These are the keys. And obviously, you've got to shut down Zamnov line. I mean, that's pretty obvious because he has been terrific offensively. But the Jets can also create a lot of speed in the neutral zone, so it'll be important for the St. Louis Blues to tie that up and keep the puck in deep, cycle in down low on the Winnipeg Jets defensemen, and challenge them physically as well.
Tkachuk, Olczyk, and Nelson Emerson. As Darren mentioned in the open, Teemu Selanne playing on the 3rd line tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. Adam Creighton dumps it in. Shanahan leading the way. Manson tying him up behind the net. Glenn Anderson got rid of that number 36. Back to the familiar number 9. Way behind by the Jets. Stefan Quintal. Quintal ahead. Tkachuk trying to give chase. Sambo plays for St. Louis up the near boards to Shanahan. Poked away. Picked up by Murray Barron. Barron dumps it behind the net. Ran around and played on the far board. Eastwood with Carbonneau checking him. Guy Carbonneau in the lineup tonight for the St. Louis Blues. Al McGinnis is out with the flu. Manson the forecheck. Up ahead, Chassé. Pad save by Cheveldae. Miscommunication by the Jets, and Chassé got a good opportunity. Here's Eastwood, has some room off a pick. Eastwood shot, he scores! Winnipeg leads 1-0.
Miscommunication at the blue line for the St. Louis Blues, and all of a sudden, a play that seemed to be maybe offside. You see Selanne bust through. He keeps that left leg, drags it. Good play by Selanne. And then it's Eastwood all alone on the right side. This is a poor angle, though, and a play in which Curtis Joseph would normally have, but he got himself in an awkward spot, and that one snuck right between the wickets right there. You see on the right pad, went off the right toe, and a good play by Mike Eastwood, who came over from the Toronto Maple Leafs at the trade deadline, and that is the 7th goal of the year for Mike.
His first home game is a Winnipeg Jet. Mike Eastwood gives the Jets the early 1-0 lead. The Jets scored 5 goals against the St. Louis Blues 2 nights ago in the Kiel Center. Before that, the Blues had the entire NHL stifled with their great defense. Hall dumps in just wide of the net.
It's a heck of a dump in. That nearly went in on the stick side.
Back around, Teppo Newman in. Gilbert on the forecheck. Kept in by Norton. Norton tried to center to Hall, knocked away by Eastwood. Duchesne at the blue line. Duchesne in front of traffic off the skate of McCulchuk. Eastwood off the glass and cleared. Here comes Teemu Selanne. Selanne working around the outside. Checked off the play nicely by Steve Duchesne.
Oh, good defensive play by Duchesne. He never went for any of the mumbo-jumbo moves that Selanne was trying to give him. And Duchesne just looked at the chest and took him off the puck.
Newman in up ahead. Randy Gillen dumps around. Played by Murray. Anderson now for St. Louis behind his own net. Up ahead to Shanahan. Advanced right to the stick of Manson. Geentel tried to get a little hit on Murray Barron instead of bouncing puck played by Adam Creighton. Creighton now over the red line. Throws on the break. Shanahan just straddles the line and stays onside. Anderson on the other hand wasn't, but the check up, the touch up, and here come the Jets. Rolling puck, going towards Cujo. Played by Murray Barron. We have a stoppage in play. The Jets are on the board. The goal by Mike Eastwood has made it 1-0.
Winnipeg Arena, some good one-on-one defensive play. Teemu Selanne's got great speed. We see this little hook by Duchesne. Not only does he hook him up, but he also eliminates the man and the body, and then he therefore corrals the puck. And Teemu Selanne doesn't have a chance. One thing Teemu Selanne can use is that speed on the outside. And on that play, he was hesitant to go wide on Steve Duchesne.
Jets feel they're in a desperate situation. They have 6 home games remaining. And in talking to some of the players in the locker room, the common denominator is win 8 of their last 11, and that means winning all 6 here at home. The Jets, the worst road team in the National Hockey League. Good bounce to Tkachuk. Tkachuk looking for Emerson. Leaves Geentel. Saved by Cujo. Rebound knocked down in front. The Jets certainly getting the opportunities early. Manson now dumps it in. Zombo plays high off the glass into the neutral zone. Nelson Emerson, the former St. Louis Blue.
Now that was a great dump in by the Winnipeg Jets too, by Dave Manson.
He leaves for Olczyk, newly acquired from the Rangers. Cujo made the save. Joseph lost sight of it, but the rebound is cleared through the neutral zone, and now it will be played by Tim Cheveldae. Keith Tkachuk working in the center zone, advancing to Dallas Drake. Up ahead, Igor Korolev. Back the other way. Tikkanen with room down the wing. Tikkanen, backhand pass to Hall. Hall shoots, pad save, rebound, right into Cheveldae. Gilbert had an open net, and he couldn't get the backhander directed in the fashion he wanted to.
Oh my, Gilbert is so good on the backhand as well, and that was just an empty netter.
Now the Jets, Drake. Drake moving in front. Backhand pad save, rebound knocked down in front. Curtis Joseph kept the pad on the ice and came up with a great rebound save.
What a great save that was. Zamnov right in front too, who's got great hands and a finishing touch. And although Curtis Joseph has somewhat struggled in the early part, that was just a great save with the right blocker.
Let's check in with Reese Davis.
At the Joe in Detroit, Red Wings and Sharks, Vyacheslav Fetisov, newly acquired by the Wings, going to load up and let one rip. Wade Flaherty will be toast. Fetisov's first of the season, first as a Wings, 2-0 Detroit.
1-0 our score here. Could have been 2-0. What a save by Curtis Joseph. Shannon plays. He dumps it. Eastwood trying to give chase. Teemu Selanne. LaPerriere. LaPerriere down the left wing. Now cuts in the middle. Puts it across to Roberts. Centering pass. Bounced off the stick of Cheveldae. Pushed ahead to Eastwood. Eastwood headmans to Selanne. He leaves for King. King back up. And Patrice Tardif handles for St. Louis. Shannon with the poke check. Loose puck offside. Blues. Angers points now, please, for the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets right now, they got to play with the lead in the third period and win a hockey game, but they got to tighten up defensively inside their own blue line. Goaltending early and often. We've seen a couple of good saves already by Cheveldae. Rough up Hull and Shanahan. Shanahan so far in the 4 games has had 21 shots, and apparently they haven't been very physical against them. Stick to a system, whatever system it may be. Get a lead and stick to that system and be disciplined and believe in that system. So for Terry Simpson and his coaching staff, along with Randy Carlyle, they do have their hands full in getting this team to believe in what they're all about.
They've gone into the locker room and told the guys to just play to win. Stop trying to play to lose, which is what has happened to the Winnipeg Jets, blowing so many third-period leads. Basil McRae hooked up. He's hooked up with Craig Martin.
Martin's got a couple of lefts in there. Big, strong kid, tough kid. And he's challenging the right guy, too. Basil McRae. With Tony Twist out of the lineup, Basil McRae has been asked to do the yeoman-like dirty work. Oh, Martin's got a pretty good left hand there.
It's like a piston firing away with the left. He's getting the better of Basil McRae.
Looks like he's in pretty good shape, this young fella.
10th game being played this year by McRae. Finally, they hit the ice surface, and that's the first time I remember those two guys going on the ice at all, and Basil hit hard on his way down. A little bloodshed on the face, but Martin gets the crowd electrified here in Winnipeg.
You have to hand it to a guy like Basil, though. I mean, he's been around this league an awful long time. When does that get tiresome, I guess? But that's the role that Basil plays for the St. Louis Blues, and you see that type of gash, it may look like it's big. It's probably just a little wee nick on the side. A lot of free-flowing blood around that area, so it might look worse than what it actually is. But Martin playing in his 10th game this year in the NHL. Martin so far, no points so far to speak of, a -5 and only 14 penalty minutes heading into it. But it's that type of emotion, too, that you look for from a younger guy to make sure everybody along that bench is also looking out and making sure they're awake for this contest.
Oh, Martin and McRae both sit down. 5 minutes each for fighting. And 5 minutes and 55 seconds of the first period. Mike Eastwood with the lone goal thus far. The Winnipeg Jets leading the St. Louis Blues 1-0. Right now in the West, Los Angeles with 33 points holds the number 8 spot. A point ahead of San Jose and 5 points ahead of Anaheim and Winnipeg. Edmonton is 6 points back.
Dan Shakty, linesman for tonight's game. He was the linesman for last night's game, the Blackhawks and the San Jose Sharks, but he asked if we would say hi to Danny and Ian, his sons who are watching tonight in Madison, Wisconsin. They get the deuce, they love it, and they say Pop's on the TV tonight.
Home of the Badgers, Madison, Wisconsin. What a great hockey program they have there, and they cheered on Chris Chelios for years. Gilbert centering pass, pad save by Cheveldae on the shot by Guy Carbonneau.
Talked about Gilbert 5-on-5. He's been terrific so far, but nullified on 2 glorious scoring chances.
Carbonneau now pushes it ahead. Keental gives chase, and another icing called on the St. Louis Blues.
Cheveldae stacking those pads as he does so well. He's able to get the 2 pillows side by each and covering as much net as possible. That's Quintel talking to Randy Carlyle, trying to figure out what's going on behind their net. Carlyle, of course, played over 1,000 games in the National Hockey League, but Tim Cheveldae, it's so imperative for him to make saves early to give his club some confidence. This is the pass out, and he has to come from the right post right to the center, so he's going from right to left, and you position your pads and get him on the ice as quickly as possible. Good save by Tim Cheveldae.
Cheveldae's first shutout as a Winnipeg Jet came against the St. Louis Blues. It was last year on March 16th. He had 41 saves and a 4-0 victory. There's another save for Curtis Joseph, the shot from the point. Dave Manson, number 3 in white, pushes ahead to Tkachuk. Tkachuk on the center. Olczyk dumps in. Emerson trying to chase down. Hooked by Anderson. Played behind the net by Jeff Norton. Pushes it to Adam Creighton. Creighton back to Norton. Norton on the near board. Manson runs him into the backside.
Oh, man.
Front Anderson now. Anderson's backhand is high and wide. Emerson to play the bouncing puck against Duchesne. Pushes it ahead. Olczyk has room. And now the call made. It'll be a holding call.
It's going to be on Eddie Olczyk as he was flying by Norton in the neutral zone, I believe, anyway. No, well, yeah, I think it will be anyway. It looked like it was Olczyk anyway. As he was going for the loose puck, you know the old drag a guy behind you and then scoot by him as you're hauling him so you can get some momentum that way. Well, as he did so, Norton went down like a ton of bricks, and Eddie Olczyk got nabbed. So 2 minutes for holding on the former New York Ranger Eddie Olczyk and, of course, the former Winnipeg Jets a couple of years ago. And so this will allow the St. Louis Blues to have the first power play of this hockey game. An opportunity to continue their success. Their power play had struggled, but Mike Keenan said earlier that, hey, don't let the numbers mislead you. It has been going well the last couple of weeks.
The Winnipeg Jets, the most penalized team in the National Hockey League, almost 27 minutes per game, and the power play is now up to 20th in the league at 15% for the St. Louis Blues. Power play unit centered by Brett Hall, Tikkanen, Shanahan, Norton, and Duchesne. Eastwood along with Teppo Numminen, Shannon, and Randy Gillen to kill off the penalty, at least for now. Up ahead, Shanahan, pass too far, Eastwood clears. Well, to make it simple, the Shannon will speak up tonight is Darryl, because his brother Darren is out of the lineup, which I thank him for, but I hope Darren gets well. But it's Darryl Shannon, number 24, on the ice tonight for Winnipeg.
That's okay. We'll hack that one up, I'm sure.
That's right. So Shannon will just be Shannon. Here's Duchesne. Duchesne across to Norton. Shanahan back now. Shanahan said they were looking for a quarterback. So much new personnel on the power play. It seems they have found success recently. Hall tried to slip a pass and feather it to Tikkanen. Cleared by Numminen. Penalty is halfway over to Eddie Olczyk. A minute left on the Blues' first power play of the night. They retreat quickly. Try to get it ahead to Brett Hall. Here's Hall. Hall bouncer to Duchesne. Cross to Norton. Pass off the leg of Emerson. Kept in by Shanahan. Duchesne shot, pad save, Shovelday.
Good redirection. That was Brett Hull's redirection. Real good save.
Stick got up in the face of Dave Manson of Patrice Tardif. Manson's stick broke. Shot by Shanahan, point blank range. Shovelday makes the save, and he freezes the puck.
Good hard shot by Brendan Shanahan. I think he might have wanted to get that a little bit higher. You're going to go glove side. You got to go right under the crossbar. But a real solid save by Shovelday. The first one, Duchesne shot from the point. Look at this little redirection. Nice play there as Brett Hull's fending off Dave Manson. And then Manson gets hit in the face right here in the corner. As he's fending for the puck, there's the nip of the blade right along the nose. And then you see the last play right here, that's Tardif, who makes a nice little drop pass right to Shanahan, and that puck nearly squirts behind Shovelday, but he looks behind him to his left and covers it up.
So 28 seconds remaining in the penalty. The first penalty called in this evening's game, which leads to a man advantage. They had the fighting call earlier. But Eddie Olczyk goes down for holding, and 28 seconds remaining in the St. Louis power play. They trail 1-0 on the goal by Mike Eastwood at 2:05 of this first period. Lidster, near side to Roberts. Roberts, top of the circle, takes the shot, knocked down in front, hit off a couple of bodies and hit the side of the net. Roberts now, checked by Zemnov. Shovelday shovels behind and around to Gillen. Gillen and Lidster meet on the near side. Into the neutral zone, and Olczyk will come out of the box. Zamnov with the puck, top of the circle, high shot, blocker saved by Curtis Joseph. Lidster got a hold of Zamnov late. Doug Lidster called for the minor. Winnipeg to go on the power play when we come back.
With 26 goals already on the season, Alexei Zamnov here on the left wing, a left-hand shot, lets this one rip. Watch the defenseman's blade of his stick, see if this deflects off it. Yeah, it looked like it might have just gotten. That's why you saw a startled and surprised Curtis Joseph. A high, hard one by Zamnov. Unofficially, that's his third shot already in the first period.
Lister goes down for interference, so the Jets will go on the power play for the first time this evening after successfully killing off St. Louis's first man advantage of our contest. Alexei Zemnov, Numanin, Drake. We've got Korolev and Teemu Selanne on the power play unit to start for Winnipeg. Dump behind the net. Joseph sweeps it around Esa Tikkanen, and the net comes away as Selanne met a Blues player inside of the net, protected by Curtis Joseph.
Well, the Finnish flash busting down the right side, and he ran into Steve Duchesne. They've already had one confrontation. Every time Selanne's been on the ice, so has Steve Duchesne. A real good offensive defenseman for the St. Louis Blues, but this year, and anytime you're going to play for Mike Keenan, you're going to have to play stronger in your own zone. You see his plus-minus rating, plus 21, leads the Blues.
Congratulations to Steve Duchesne. He and his wife Tracy gave birth to the couple's first child, a baby girl. Dilton Duchesne checked in at 12:05, near the trading deadline.
12 pounds, 5 ounces?
No, 12:05 as in
goodness.
12 hours and 5 minutes. But it was interesting because Steve had heard that he was on the trading block, so he did not want to leave St. Louis and his newborn child, so was back from the delivery room to the phone to see if he was still a St. Louis Blue, and certainly that is the case.
Steve, for any of us that have children, the baby's more important than the traded team, that's for darn sure.
Here's the official numbers: 8 pounds, 13 ounces at 12:05. Zamnov now in the trigger of the power play. Zamnov puts it back in top. Across. Looking for room. Jets try to center the pass. Tikkanen intercepts. Numanin picks up. Numanin shoots. High shot over the head of Curtis Joseph. Neutral zone. Watch out for Esa Tikkanen. Tikkanen chases it down. Centers the hole. One-timer save Cheveldae. Oh, my. Back the other way. Teemu Selanne across to Igor Korolev. He had to wait. Didn't have the shot angle that he wanted. Dallas Drake tried to get a hold of it. Drake to Selanne. Up top, Manson across, one-timer by Zamnov. Tikkanen pulled down by Korolev. Centered to Hall, and Hall bounces it off with 35 seconds remaining on the penalty to Doug Lister.
Terrific save by Tim Cheveldae. Those are big saves, game-saving type of saves early on. A one-timer by Brett Hull doesn't get any more difficult than that.
Great pass to Emerson, backhand, and a save by Curtis Joseph, and he holds on. Let's check in with Reese Davis back in our Deuce Studios.
Guys, in Detroit again, the Wings and Sharks, Ray Shepard. Thinking about passing, looking for somebody to pass it to. Might as well shoot it. Can't find anybody. And he finds the net. 3-0. Wings unbeaten in their last 9.
Thanks, Reese. Right here at the Winnipeg Arena, you've got the tag team shorthanded duo of Tikkanen. He saw where Hull was, and Hull just let this one rip. And it takes an awful lot of courage for a goaltender not to blink in a situation like that. But Cheveldae went from left to right and made a fine stop.
Now, Brett Hull had the shorthanded goal against Detroit a couple of days ago when there was a 2-man advantage for the Red Wings.
How big was that?
Red Wings, though, continue to play well, as Reese mentioned. Shanahan now on Stefan Quintal. Quintal bounces him off the play, gets it to Manson. Penalty has come to an end, so both teams 0 for 1 on their first couple of power plays. Zombo with Emerson forechecking, pushes it ahead too far. Manson dumps back in for the Jets. Blues have been playing very well, 7-1-1 in their last 9 games, but they self-admit that they have not played well their last 2 games. The loss over the weekend at Dallas, and then they got away with one at home 2 nights ago as they pulled out the victory against these very Winnipeg Jets. Selanne leaves for King. Gilbert intercepts the pass intended for Mike Eastwood. Gilbert over the red line, and he dumps it in again. Up ahead, wide open. Here comes Eastwood. He has one already. Eastwood scores! It is 2-0 Winnipeg.
Eastwood has 2 goals in this game. This one is a thing of beauty when he finally releases it, but a great outlet pass by Shannon. It is right on the tape. Where are the St. Louis Blues in this position? Here's what to watch. Watch how he takes his time and settles the puck down and makes no mistake about putting that high and hard over the glove side. So many times a right-handed shot will go here. His head's up the entire way, and that is the end of Curtis Joseph. He's yanked in this game, given up 2 goals, not even through the first 20 minutes of play. And John Casey will go in net. The 9th time this year that Mike Keenan has pulled his goaltender. He told us before the game that it's not always a reflection of how the goaltender has played. Sometimes it's the spark and interest in the team. Cujo went down a little bit early there, really gave him high to the glove side. I mean, Mike Eastwood made no mistake whatsoever about that for his 8th goal of the year. And here comes John Casey. Now, Curtis Joseph has just shattered a stick. I can fully feel the frustration of Curtis Joseph at this point. He switched goalies 9 times in 37 games. That's a big percentage right there. For John Casey, it's a difficult situation as well to go into the net cold. But for Curtis Joseph, you can't say this any more simple than this. It makes you sour. I mean, you're sour. You start a game and you want to finish a game.
Up ahead, Murray Barron. 2-0 Winnipeg leads. We're just 12 minutes old in this hockey game. Frozen on the other side by Chevelday. Mike Eastwood thus far has been the story. His 7th and 8th goals of the year.
Who says close?
Welcome back. Jets leading 2-0. This is the original dump-in by the St. Louis Blues. And they're expecting some pressure. Norton gets caught at the blue line napping. The other defenseman, Duchesne, was already in tight as well. Nobody back in terms of forwards, and Mike Eastwood goes in all alone. A good, smart outlet pass, though, by Shannon. And so far, the Winnipeg Jets have made some pretty smart moves in creating odd-man situations against what normally would be a very tight 5-on-5 group for St. Louis Blues.
Terry Simpson called Mike Eastwood a low-maintenance kind of player. Tell you what, he's been high maintenance for the St. Louis Blues so far. Zombo's shot just wide. Murray Barron plays. Barron flips it in front. Bouncing puck stuck away by Chevelday. And cleared. Now to play and into the stands. 7:47 remains in the first period. The Jets leading Mike Keenan's Blues 2-0.
When you pull a goaltender, here's what you're looking for. That next shift right now, and see, it sparks an interest in your bench. Your bench is looking. It's a caring group. They're thinking of Curtis Joseph. They're embarrassed for him. They're saying to themselves, we also have to play better. We've left him out to dry. And sometimes a coach isn't thinking about what the goaltender's thinking about. He just wants to spark something in his team. We'll see how this next couple of shifts end up for Mike Keenan and the Blues.
Barriere. On the draw, Winnipeg with 2 more shots thus far. LaPerriere and Murray. Cardiff can't handle. Lidster keeps it in. Back around the net. Dave Manson pushes it up. Bill Holder forces it back to LaPerriere. Murray. Holder deep into the Winnipeg zone. Jamnoff there trying to check him off the play. Manson. Now LaPerriere behind Chevelday. Loose puck picked up by Murray. He flips it out into the neutral zone. Chased down by Holder. Jamnoff on the forecheck. Cardiff dumps it. Puck in off the stick of Chevelday. Korolev. Laid off the glove of Tim Chevelday. Dave Manson, the former Chicago Blackhawk and Edmonton Oiler.
Boy, they're going for those long breakaway, breakout passes, aren't they?
Well, it worked for Eastwood a second ago, didn't it, Panger? Yeah. Now here's Zamnoff. Zamnoff in front, he scores! It is 3-0 Winnipeg on the goal by Alexei Zamnoff. Strike and strike fiercely.
You know, everything has started because of a pass that's just been from their own zone, not making any mistake, nothing fancy about the breakout with Winnipeg, but good hard work by Dallas Drake. Right on the tape here to Zamnoff, and he makes a nifty little move to get around the defenseman, then fires it right between the wickets of a very cold John Casey. His first shot in action since replacing Cujo, but there's the strength and the tenacity around the net from one Alexei Zamnoff, and that's his 27th goal of the year, 54th point.
And it has given the Winnipeg Jets a very comfortable 3-0 lead in this game. 11 goals in the last 7 games played for Alexei Zemnov, the number 3 scorer in the National Hockey League. Olczyk now. He's got 4 points in his 2 games played as a Winnipeg Jet. This is his second run in Winnipeg. Now Brown, bouncing puck off the skate of Tkachuk. Roberts now works up the far boards. 3-0 Winnipeg. Shovelday sweeps it away. Olczyk checked off the play. Here's Roberts. Roberts' shot bounces away. Picked up by Tkachuk. Dallas Drake gets the assist on the goal by Alexei Zemnov. Emerson now with time. He hit the post. LePerrier dumps it in.
St. Louis very wide open inside the blue line. I can't believe how loose they are right now. They're giving Winnipeg every opportunity so far to win this game.
Now, Winnipeg has said they need to win 8 of their last 11 games. They felt like their season had to start on a different track tonight, and they have come out with fire in their eyes. In our presentation of Fire on Ice on the Deuce. Still with the good forecheck. There's Eastwood. Solani. Eastwood on the back door, looking for the first period hat trick. Up ahead, Esa Tikkanen. Tikkanen now, long shot. Shovelday, no problem. Mikulczyk. Long centering pass to Solani. Solani on the backhand to Teppo Numminen. Norton ahead, Guy Carbonneau dumps in. Stefan Quintal gives chase. Kept in nicely by Norton. Back to Denny Chassé. Carbonneau tried to feather pass to Basil McRae. Carbonneau picks it back up behind Shovelday. In front pass knocked away nicely by the Jets. Now Zemnov. With Carbonneau. Near side, Igor Korolev to help. Across to Dave Manson. Into the middle to Drake. Korolev. The Jets' pass is very sharp, very crisp so far. Zemnov. Tripped up as Duchesne tangled with Drake. Drake off a bouncing puck. Tried to leave for Stefan Quintal. Manson dumps on net. Casey has to make the blocker save. Adam Creighton. Doug Litster ahead to Creighton. Creighton on the near side, top of the circle. Pushes it ahead to Glenn Anderson. Bill Holder will now give chase. 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the first period. It has been all Winnipeg Jets. 2 goals by Mike Eastwood, 1 by Alexei Zemnov. Here comes Nelson Emerson. Emerson tried to lead for Tkachuk. Shannon pushes it ahead to Tkachuk. With Creighton on him, Adam Creighton wins the battle behind the net. Anderson ahead to Shanahan. Off the skate of Brendan Shanahan.
Good soccer move by Shanahan.
Well, he participated in the World Cup.
As he says.
Well, he was there. Of course, he told us a little while ago that rumors aren't true. He's not dating Madonna either.
Heck, he spread those rumors.
That's right. But that's not true. In case anybody heard me wrong, that is not true. Up ahead, Patrice Tardif cannot handle. Numminen to chase it down. Timeout here at the Winnipeg Arena, where the home-standing Jets lead 3-0. You lose an inspirational leader in Ty Domi, and you pick up Mike Eastwood, and Eastwood contributes tonight in his first home game as a Winnipeg Jet. A goal at 2:05 of the first, a goal at 11:52 of the first. His 7th and 8th goals of the year, and then Alexei Zemnov about a minute and a half later makes it 3-0 Winnipeg Jets. Eastwood behind the net, looking for that first period hat trick. He'll take 2 goals and an assist, though. That would be just fine. LePerrier plays for St. Louis. LePerrier on Manson. Manson bounces him away. Quintal plays now for Winnipeg with Roberts checking. Centering pass intercepted by Manson, kept in by Zombo. Manson has to play again. Off the boards, played by King. King has a streaking Teemu Solani. Solani, top of the circle, shot just wide. That's where he likes to fire the puck. From the faceoff dot, he just shot a bit wide.
That's what he has to do, too. Teemu Selanne, somewhat an off year for him, but Selanne still has 15 goals and 38 points. But that shot is a deadly shot because he's going full speed, so it's hard for the goaltender to tell when exactly he's going to release the shot.
Manson. Off the skate of Cheveldae, and then Gilbert can't put it home. Hall tried to just use Cheveldae's disposition to score a goal. Bouncing puck in front of Cheveldae again, played by Gilbert. Hall's on the post, checked off the play by Manson. Centering pass goes through the slot untouched, and Emerson clears into the neutral zone with 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining in the first period.
You know, that type of communication ultimately cost the Winnipeg Jets that game at the Kiel Center just a couple of nights ago. So Cheveldae and his defensemen have to really communicate better than that.
Taken in now. Teppo Numminen comes away with it. Numminen has Eddie Olczyk. Olczyk to Tkachuk. Tkachuk, and we have an offside called on the Winnipeg Jets. Tomorrow at 7:30 on ESPN, it is National Hockey Night. The Boston Bruins at Madison Square Garden to take on the New York Rangers. Gary Thorne and Bill Clement, and the Rangers fans are in jeopardy of being the first Stanley Cup champions since the year 1970 to miss the playoffs the following season. The New York Rangers right now are 2 points back of the Hartford Whalers for the final playoff position in the Eastern Conference. It's National Hockey Night tomorrow night on ESPN. Winnipeg 13-12, shots on goal. And a stoppage with 1 minute and 17 seconds to play. You know, you talk about Terry Simpson taking over as the head coach, and John Paddock really made a classy move by taking himself out of the mix and moving himself to the front office. And it was mentioned by Terry Simpson that Paddock wanted to see the forest, not the trees, and while you always try to get the right mix of players, sometimes also you want the right mix of coaches. And with the help of Randy Carlyle, the Winnipeg Jets, in now their 5th game under Terry Simpson, have played very well. They've just had that continued hard luck, especially the other night at the Kiel Center when they came back, fought back to lead 5-4 late in the game against St. Louis on their home ice. Outplayed the St. Louis Blues for basically 57 minutes, or at least played very well for 57 minutes, but could not come away with the victory. So they're 2-2 under the new coaching staff. Numminen touches up, icing is the call. So the faceoff will come back to the side of John Casey. In for Curtis Joseph. If you joined us late, Curtis Joseph, the winner of his last 6 starts, pulled after 2 goals by Mike Eastwood, were scored in the first 12 minutes of the first period. With tonight's effort, I mentioned earlier that he's very pleased. They're on pace, the St. Louis Blues, in a regular season to have about 115 points in the standings. So he is very pleased with the way his St. Louis Blues have performed before the first period of tonight's game. Zamnov looking for room. Gets it across to Teppo Numminen. Easy stick save by John Casey. Time ticking away here in the first period. Basil McRae leaves for Holder. Holder's shot off escape. Numminen plays for Winnipeg and dumps it out of the zone. Holder plays for St. Louis. We expect in our first intermission Darren Pang to visit with Teemu Selanne on the Winnipeg bench. That'll be after our first time out as the seconds tick away here in the first period of play from the Winnipeg Arena. Shanahan on net, played by Cheveldae. Good first period put together by Tim Cheveldae. A better first period played by the Winnipeg Jets. Mike Eastwood the story. 2 goals in the first 12 minutes. The Jets have come out in dire need of victories, and they lead 3-0 after 20 minutes of play.
Okay.
Wonderful first period put together by the Winnipeg Jets. They lead 3-0. Teemu Selanne already over 100 NHL goals. At the start of the year, he held or tied 32 Jets records, and he's with our Darren Pang.
Thanks, Goldie. Appreciate that, big guy. Teemu Selanne, and first of all, hey, that's the kind of period you guys are looking for.
Oh, for sure. I think everybody in the dressing room knew that we have to have a good game if we want to make the playoffs, and we have only 11 games left, so we want to play well now.
You know, you yourself had a couple of good chances. Timo, you're playing on the third line? I mean, they counted the third line here. Is that something that you take personally, that you're not with the other guys?
No. I talked with Terry Simpson, our coach, and I have so much problems with my knees, and I'm not healthy now, so I think it's better that some other guys play in the first and second line, and I still get a lot of ice time, and I can help this team that way. But you know, it has been a little bit frustrating year for me. I have had a lot of injuries, and that's why I'm in third line now. But I still enjoy the play.
Well, in that first period, you had a couple of really great chances on the right wing, and Curtis Joseph pulled in that first period. You got to him. Was that a game plan to you guys?
Yeah, I think we knew that first period we have to play well, and I think the bottom line is at home. When you play at home, you have to win 2 periods if you want to win the high games, and that's what we want to do. And but still, 60 minutes we have to play if we want to win.
You know, one of the things that I think we're interested to see, you know, you wear number 8 right now. You wore number 13 the last couple of years now. Why the switch?
Well, 8 has been my favorite number always, but when I came to league very first time, Randy Carlyle had this number, and 13 was only good number what was available, and when I got hurt, when I got my Achilles tendon last year, I wanted it to be a little bit superstition, and that's why I changed it, and this was available then.
Well, Timo, you've been a great player to watch. We really admire the way you play. Get her back on track, and good luck to you, Winnipeg Jets.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Phoenix Flash, Timo Solani, back upstairs to the Spikester. Mike?
Well, thank you, Darren. He broke Mike Bossy's rookie goal record, but tonight the goal scorer has been Mike Eastwood. Back to Sports Smash in our 2 studios after this timeout.
Wagon of your own.
One is 3-0 Jets. We're back to Mike Goldberg, Darren Payne after this.
Fire on Ice, ESPN2's coverage of the National Hockey League is brought to you by Bud Ice, the official beer sponsor of the NHL, and by Outdoor Products, backpacks made in the USA. The shot so far, 14-13. The home team, though, on the important number, leads 3-0 after 20 minutes of play. Here's the Winnipeg Arena. Mike Goldberg and Darren Pang, and we've watched 2 of the great scorers in Alexei Zemnov and Brett Hall, and so far give the 1-0 advantage to Zemnov.
Give the 1-0 advantage to the Winnipeg Jets. 6 minutes and 20 seconds played. 4 shots on goal. The first 3 before that goal, they were beauties as well, but he ended up scoring the 3rd goal of that period. Meanwhile, Brett Hall was nullified on a couple of glorious opportunities himself. And there's a good look at the Golden Brett. That one while they were shorthanded. That was a great play by Tikkanen, right to Hull. One-timer, but Tim Cheveldae deserves an awful lot of credit with what happened in that period. 13 shots on Tim Cheveldae. That one save, Mike, really epitomized what the Winnipeg Jets have needed in the past. And they desperately needed that save while the score was just 1-0. So Chevy had a pretty darn good first period of play. Here's one of the looks at what happened with the St. Louis Blues in that period. Tikkanen with the fake slap shot. Gets it back. Right to the slot, and that's right on Shannon, right there. And he gets a great chance, but a nice save with the right pad, but that was great. Gilbert with the backhand chance, and it went right back into Cheveldae. Sometimes you have to be lucky as well to be good.
Well, they've been lucky and good. The Winnipeg Jets with a 3-0 lead as we start the second period here at the Winnipeg Arena. Up ahead to Patrice Tardif. Roberts plays for St. Louis, trying to dump it in off a skate, and here comes Timo Solani, stripped by Tardif. He leaves for LePerriere to Roberts. Roberts tried to thread the needle back towards LePerriere, but couldn't get a puck across. Now Chris King. Chris King bounced away off the puck, and a little poke check by John Casey. Way behind by Rick Zombo. There's the length of the ice. No icing call. Shannon plays behind. Daryl Shannon, not Darren. Up ahead to Timo Solani. Olczyk dumps in. Olczyk just happy to be getting some ice time here in Winnipeg. Back around Gilbert. Shannon to play. Kachuk in the neutral zone. Has Olczyk on the left side. Kachuk top of the circle. Makes the move. Just missed the net on the wrist shot. Kachuk back to Olczyk. Olczyk lost the handle. Duchesne pushes it ahead to Gilbert. Gilbert tried to get a streaking Brett Hall. Brett Hall has the longest point scoring streak in the NHL with 10 straight games. He and his teammates scoreless thus far tonight. Nelson Emerson across to Teppo Numminen. whistle and a stoppage in play.
A couple of power forwards in this hockey game, Shanahan and Tkachuk, going head-to-head. Now, Tkachuk is spending some time at center ice here for the Winnipeg Jets, but still prototypical in the opening 20 minutes. Tkachuk played a little bit more ice time there. No shots on goal, and in fact, he just missed on another one here in the second. 2 shots for Shanahan, 2 real good scoring chances for Brendan Shanahan, but he was nullified off a good shoulder save by Tim Cheveldae, but that's not going to stop Brendan Shanahan. He's always in there in the NHL in terms of shots on goal, and 9 goals in his last 13. He has been red hot for the Blues.
And Tkachuk from Melrose, Massachusetts, former Boston University Hockey East All-Rookie team. Played with some great ones there. Tony Amonte, Dave Tomlinson, Sean McEachern, and Scott LaChance. The Terriers of BU, we featured them on ESPN in college hockey's national championship. They took on Maine. Keen-Tall. Keen-Tall up ahead. Zemnov gets the puck back from Igor Korolev. Shanahan chases him down, pushes it up into the neutral zone. Keen-Tall plays there with his partner Teppo Numminen. Holder can't intercept, so Keen-Tall gives to Zemnov. Try to push it back to Alexei. Quick one-time pass. Korolev scores! It is 4-0 Winnipeg. He paid the price, but it feels good right now.
Korolev, the former St. Louis Blues, gets some personal vengeance on his former team. Terrific passing by the Winnipeg Jets. Tic-tac-toe, Zemnov right back. And then you see Drake, little drop pass, right to Korolev, high to the glove side. Casey gets beat. And the Winnipeg Jets continue to impress with their puck movement again. Little quick give and goes, good communication, and just an excellent shot. And then he got smoked by Lidster after putting the puck behind the glove side of John Casey. But for Igor Korolev, his 7th goal of the season, and that tandem of Korolev and Zemnov has really been terrific the last week or so here for the Jets.
And tonight, Korolev now with a goal and an assist, 2 points. Korolev had a slashing penalty in the first period 2 nights ago that led to the Blues' first goal. But he did have 2 assists in the game, and he continues to play well against his former mates, the St. Louis Blues. Igor Korolev making it 4-0 Winnipeg.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets have been terrible at holding leads. They lost that game a couple of nights ago, 7-5. They led 5-4 late in the game, and in 8 games they've held the lead or led at some point in the third, and all they've got is 4 ties out of it. A 4-0 lead at this juncture of the game has to be a comfortable one still for the Winnipeg Jets. Now, it's relying on the system in which the coaching staff is going to implement and sticking to that system. And oh, what the heck, continue to pour it on against the St. Louis Blues because they have really struggled in this game.
Well, that's been the thing Winnipeg has done this year, Darren. They, at this point, would play not to lose instead of continuing to be aggressive and play to win. That's the one thing the coaching staff has really harped on the Jets as they try to make a run in these last 11 games of their season. They feel they need to win 8 of them to make it into the playoffs and pick up a seat in the Western Conference. Gillen off the shin pad of Zombo. Zombo meets Martin. Martin hooked up with Basil McRae earlier and got a good piece of the veteran Basil McRae. Guy Carbonneau plays behind the net. Tkachuk on the forecheck. Tkachuk playing center this evening if you joined us late.
Zombo just gave Gillen a pretty good elbow there right behind the net.
Off the stick of Volchek, John Casey plays. Near side, picked up by the Blues. Tardif pushes it around the net. Cheveldae plays there. Teppo Numminen to Keith Tkachuk. Tkachuk makes a move. He's got room. Working on the forehand, poked away by Jeff Norton. Perrier across to Roberts. Roberts against Nelson Emerson. Stick save Cheveldae. Roberts picks up the loose puck. Tries to center it. LePerrier's shot is wide. Tardif tries to play against Cheveldae. Loose puck in front. Cheveldae holds on. Puck is free again and bounced away. Now a point-blank shot in front. Knocked down. Cheveldae again with a save. Puck is still loose. Played by Roberts. Duchesne now hit the post. Tardif. And to Tim Cheveldae, and the Jets dodge a bullet there. Duchesne hits the crossbar, and it stays 4-0.
Right over the head of Chevelday, and the Calder Trophy line for St. Louis, getting some offense going.
Hall now stops at the top of the circles, leaves for Holder. Shot is knocked down in front by Dave Manson. Manson loses it to Hall. He threaded it to Tikkanen. Deflected wide and played again by Dave Manson. Edmonds to Dallas Drake. Checked off the play by Gilbert. We have a 2-line offside pass. We also have a 4-goal advantage for the Winnipeg Jets.
It's about 16 shots on goal, and a great flurry here by the St. Louis Blues. Watch this puck sneak through the legs of Chevelday, but he was fortunate enough to react quickly, and the puck goes out with a little bit of help from Nelson Emerson. But then the Blues continued to hound. Nice little pass right on the tape to Duchesne. High, and bang! Right off the crossbar over Chevelday's head. And it stays out. And the luck continues right now for the Jets inside their own zone. They're getting some breaks as well.
Eddie Olczyk leaves for Nelson Emerson. Off the skate of Adam Creighton. Anderson with Shanahan. Shanahan works it over the blue line. Gives to Creighton. His shot deflected into the stands of Dave Manson. Well, it's so important right now for Winnipeg to start to play well. So he asked Keith Tkachuk what the team has to do to be effective in the down days.
Well, we got to keep attacking them. I mean, we seem to be letting back and letting them come against us. I mean, you can't play a perfect game, but, you know, you want to keep going what has gotten you there, and that's attacking them, and that's what we got to do.
Well, they've done that tonight. 9 goals in 4+ periods against the St. Louis Blues for the Winnipeg Jets this week. Prior to that, Darren, the St. Louis Blues had allowed just 17 goals in their last 8 games.
Yeah, that's remarkable numbers right there. And he's right. I mean, they're going at him right now. They got to continue to go at the St. Louis Blues. Continue to play the same way.
Steve Duchesne across to Norton. Norton.
You wanted to say that.
Yes,
huh?
I have. Casey behind. Naughton.
Poor guy, huh?
Eastwood. Now played by Naughton. And Brown will dump it back in. Steve Duchesne. Eastwood. Passes Solani. His shot knocked down. Here comes Shannon. Shannon around the glass. Played behind the net by Eastwood. Gets it to Teemu Solani. Brown shot in front. Played by Guy Carbonneau. Carbonneau gets it to Basil McRae, who went down for a second. Met again at the red line by Shannon. Solani tries to work Norton. Solani and Norton do a little dance and back up the near side to Basil McRae. Mikulczyk plays at center. And Duchesne plays for St. Louis. Shannon giving chase for Winnipeg. Good headman pass to Dallas Drake. Streaks down the right wing. Drake on Holder. Holder pokes it away. Drake picked it back up. Mikulczyk. Oh, my. Good play by Lister. Mikulczyk should have shot that puck. He wanted to thread it to Korolev. Instead, the turnover by Manson. Patrice Tardif leaves for Roberts. Korolev does a nice job of getting the puck back. Here comes Igor Korolev with Samnov trailing. Korolev checked off the puck. Samnov picked it up. Drake meets Holder. Now Lidster tying up Igor Korolev. Gloves it ahead to Roberts. The officials wave it off, and Manson will give chase. 12 minutes and 44 seconds remaining in the second period. Tkachuk, and the whistle, and an offside is called as the Winnipeg Jets lead the Blues on the deuce. Deuce as the streets of this beautiful town north of North Dakota.
Great weather, though. 52 degrees here in Winnipeg, you know? We could have been teeing them up this afternoon.
We should have been.
We could have been.
Should have been. Except I'm much richer because I didn't play you in golf today. Up ahead, Drake now. And Murray Barron. The playoff chase important as the Jets trying to work their way into that final spot in the Western Conference. Drake pushes it ahead. Jumbo plays behind. Gilbert takes. Tikkanen. Tried to get Hall. Bouncing puck back the other way. Drake gets it to Zhamnov. Korolev now over the blue line. Hall plays there. Teppo Numminen. John Casey. Cross to Zombo. Zombo goes left wing to Esa Tikkanen. Hall. Checked off the puck. Streaking Zhamnov. Zhamnov leaves for Numminen. Numminen shot save Casey, and he'll hold on. Well, we have been talking about the need for the Jets to win 8 of their last 11 games. And you see the West playoff chase. They are number 11 right now with just 11 victories on the season.
Well, they're tied with Anaheim, 28 points. You get on a little bit of a roll, and quickly you can catapult up there a little bit, but their schedule now doesn't get much easier right there. Toronto, they haven't won against Toronto. Edmonton as well. At Detroit, that's a tough one. At Chicago, Dallas, Edmonton, Detroit. Their schedule is real tough, but they played well against the Blackhawks. That's a positive for Winnipeg. They beat them 4-1 in their last outing. Then they're going to end it up against the Los Angeles Kings.
6-14-5 against their remaining opponents, and Chris King said earlier this week that if they would have just held on to those third period games, they would be in the 6th spot, if not better, in the Eastern Conference right now, and basically be a solid playoff team for this shortened season. Anderson fans on the shot. Norton will chase it down.
With the talent, when you look at the roster of the Winnipeg Jets, it comes as a surprise year after year that they've been in the position that they've been in. If they tighten it up defensively and play stronger in their own zone, obviously offensively, they've got a darn good hockey club.
We're going to have our second power play of the evening, the penalty being called.
It's on Shanahan, I think, for interference.
Yeah, Tkachuk was dragged to the surface, and there's those 2 power forwards that we introduced to you in the open of tonight's show, and they've heated the blue line of the St. Louis Blues. Brendan Shanahan to sit down for the next 2 minutes.
Only the second power play of the game for the Winnipeg Jets. Mike Keenan, St. Louis Blues, has only had 1 power play chance. And again, at the far side of the blue line, the backhand pass is going to go across. You see the far side right there. You see that Shanahan, and he's coming in, and there's the call, and it's a good call right there. Clearly the puck wasn't anywhere near that situation over there, so the Winnipeg Jets with Drake, Korolev, and Solani to lead the 3-man unit on the power play.
Korolev on Tikkanen. Tikkanen and Hall did a good job of killing the penalty the last time the Jets had the power play. And that's the difference between Brett Hull 1 year ago. He's in the penalty-killing situations, and he has duly credited Mike Keenan for helping him improve his game defensively.
When you get put in those positions, though, and the coach has the confidence to play you while you're shorthanded. I mean, Brett Hull's minutes are up. He's up 30 to 32 minutes per game as a forward. That'll keep you in good shape, and it gets you involved in the game in every facet of the game.
Jim Schoenfeld said the other day that you like to have attacking-type players to kill penalties because you get into situations like this, Tikkanen enforcing the issue, and all of a sudden the Winnipeg power play comes to an end because you have the guys out there who can also be smart about their offensive, and they force the issue as Hall and Tikkanen do against Winnipeg.
Exactly. I mean, you have the confidence to move the puck, and when you're on the power play, there's tendencies really to lay back. There's tendencies to think, well, I've got 2 minutes on the power play. We'll just cozy on up through the neutral zone, and then when we get that chance, we'll set it up. But again, the good headman play there. Now, Tikkanen here isn't really hauled down too dramatically. In fact, he takes Drake down as quickly as he goes down himself. Following the last game, in the Winnipeg Sun, one of the writers had made a comment to say that for as many dives, you read that? For as many dives that Tikkanen had made in that last game, he should be wearing a Speedo. A great line, and it's something that a lot of players can obviously do that very well. I'm not sure if I'd like to see Tikkanen in a Speedo playing hockey. You can add me to that list. But he does his job. I don't know if anybody in the league does it as well as Tikkanen.
That's a Tikkanen. 5 Stanley Cup rings. Only Glenn Anderson, his former teammate in Edmonton, with more on the ice tonight. And there's a goal, a bad goal against the Winnipeg Jets. Confusion in front of the net, and the Blues are on the board.
LaPerriere now 19 points in 26 games. He's in the top echelon in rookie scoring, and a breakdown and miscommunication in front of the Winnipeg Jets zone results in LaPerriere's goal. inside the blue line. You see right there the shot by Zombo on the right side. It gets through. Good blocker save by Cheveldae. And it looked right there, yeah, Shannon had the puck. Hey, who the heck has the puck? Well, Cheveldae thought Shannon had the puck and was going to clear, and they couldn't do so, and it instantly trickled through the legs of Cheveldae.
LePerrier gets credit for the goal, and it is 4-1 Winnipeg. Tkachuk, we're in a 4-on-4 situation. Casey plays behind to Zombo. Emerson and Tkachuk up front. LePerrier. And also Patrice Tardif. Quintal across to Manson. Manson now over the red line. Happy to stick handle, but Paul intercepts. Here comes Randy Gillen. Gillen's great shot off the stick of Zombo. Bear dumps it in. Hall tries to chase. Quintal, the first one back. That ball on the pass up to Randy Gillen, handled nicely with the glove. Ahead to Murray, just called up from the minors. Springfield did not make the playoffs, so Murray, one of 4 guys, Rob Murray, called up to the big club. Springfield Falcons of the AHL failed to make the AHL 94-95 playoffs. Here's Hall, move in off the skate off Shannon. Duchesne a shot at point-blank range, the save by Cheveldae. He freezes with Hall on the ice surface in front of him.
Hall got dumped right afterwards, right in front, trying to make a nifty little move by the right face-off circle. Cheveldae getting down in sort of an awkward position, and the puck innocently rolled towards him. He had the paddle of the stick along the ice, and he was able to cover it up, but Hull crossing the blue line, a little outside-inside move on Shannon. Shannon stopped him there, but then the rebound's going to come from Duchesne, and Brett Hull's trying to get a piece of it, and I think he was looking for a call as well, because he was really dumped on that play. But some good defensive cover-up by the Winnipeg Jets. Anytime, though, they're inside, let's say the slot area around the crease, Winnipeg has been very sloppy in that area.
Taken in now, taken in with room, the power play for the Blues for 20 seconds as the penalty about to expire on the Jets. Taken in shot, knocked down, Zamnov clears but not out. Taken in, keeps in. Taken in up to Duchesne. Duchesne's shot in front, Cheveldae pad save, and it's cleared away, and now the final moments of the short-lived power play for the St. Louis Blues have come to an end.
Good shot by Duchesne, because it wasn't hard, but there was traffic in front. Shanahan was right in front of Cheveldae. Cheveldae had to come up with a good save.
Shannon to play now for Winnipeg. The Teppo Numminen, kept in by Creighton. Creighton now leaves for Bill Holder. Poked away by Dallas Drake. He's hit back by Holder. We're going to have a penalty. Korolev, though, still has it. Streaking Zamnov off the leg of Doug Lister. Adam Creighton touches up. St. Louis called for the penalty. Winnipeg on the power play with a 3-goal advantage when we return to the arena.
We're back at the arena, and the Winnipeg Jets will have their third power play. Holder gets stripped, and a good slash on Dallas Drake, and that's the 2-minute slashing penalty. Then on a 2-on-1, Korolev tried to get it to Zamnov, but that pass was off to Mark. Zamnov had no chance on the pass, but Holder goes off to the penalty box.
Third power play of the night for the Winnipeg Jets. 2 goals in the first period by Mike Eastwood. One by Alexei Zamnov, his 27th of the season. Korolev has scored here in the second period. Ian LePerrier puts St. Louis on the board at the 9:52 mark. Thus our score is 4-1. If you joined us late, 5 points out of a playoff spot are the Winnipeg Jets. They feel they need to win 8 of their last remaining 11 games. And Curtis Joseph pulled after the first 2 goals of the evening by Mike Keenan. The 9th time this season a goalie has been pulled by Mike Keenan. John Casey in the net. He's given up the other 2 goals. Paul and Tikkanen again effective on the penalty kill. They'll switch up, and here comes Shanahan and Adam Creighton. Tkachuk with Olchek and Nelson Emerson on the front line of the power play. Dave Manson and Stefan Quintal. There's Nelson Emerson. Emerson's pass off the stick of Adam Creighton, played at the red line by Quintal. Bounces it off the board. Murray Barron pinches there. Barron up ahead. And he dumps it behind the net, played by Tim Cheveldae. Now Manson Anderson with 57 seconds left in the power play. Olczyk, Tkachuk trying to stay and wait in the slot. Tkachuk back to help. Flipped around the boards and cleared by Creighton. He tried to hit Shanahan streaking and almost did. Norton now with Teemu Selanne. Brown gives chase for Winnipeg. Craig Brown, acquired at the deadline from the Penguins for future consideration, spent most of the year with the Cleveland Lumberjacks. Newman dumps in. Two guys giving chase. Igor Korolev. Duchesne comes away with it nicely, though, for the Blues. And they clear one more time with 18 seconds remaining on the penalty to Bill Holder.
So the Blues are killing this off, but one thing to remember, on 5-on-5, St. Louis has to play better, and that's when they're a pretty good hockey team. But the Winnipeg fans right here are a little frustrated with their team.
Not a shot yet on this power play opportunity. Teemu Selanne back. We're at even strength as Holder comes out of the box. Selanne checked off the play by Anderson. One stick goes down. Now both of them are gone. Anderson lost his stick, and then he took Teemu's and said, all right, fair is fair. We'll both go with no stick each. And the icing on the play.
Well, Brendan Shanahan and the St. Louis Blues right now, there's not much quit in the character that the St. Louis Blues have, and Shanahan talks about that never give up attitude.
We don't give up at any point of the game when we fall behind or anything like that, but it's something that we don't want to happen before the game. We discuss about not getting behind, and usually when we have a lead, we can hold on to it. That last game was a little sloppy, but we don't want to fall behind. But if we do, certainly there are no quitters on that bench or in the dressing room.
Brendan Shanahan and the St. Louis Blues have 5 minutes and 28 seconds left of the second period. Still an awful lot of time. And you saw that the fans here in Winnipeg, the minute that the Winnipeg Jets struggled on the power play, they were very quick to get on top of them. I guess they're not feeling comfortable with this 4-1 lead.
Well, no lead seems to be a comfortable one. They had a 4-1 lead, did the Jets, a couple of weeks ago against the San Jose Sharks, only to lose the hockey game. So Randy Gillen said that the Jets this year have found every way possible to lose. And that's why the Jets fans will only feel good when that final horn blows. Springing pass ahead again. Gillen checked off the play nicely by Murray Barron. Zombo back to help for St. Louis. Roberts now ahead. Off the skate of Murray. And here comes Chris King. King over the blue line. Shot saved by Casey. Denny Chassé gives him a rough ride, and off the board, and back comes Dave Manson. Under 5 minutes remains in the second period. Head man to Gillen. He'll have to wait as Tkachuk ran in offside. Roberts now regroups for the St. Louis Blues. Their only loss in their last 9 games over the weekend to the Dallas Stars by a final of 3-2. Emerson intercepts the loose puck. He's got Tkachuk. Tkachuk waiting, moving, backhand, forehand scored. Beautiful move by Keith Tkachuk. That, my friend, was art.
Oh, man. Another poor giveaway for St. Louis, and they've just been lackadaisical inside their own zone, but a 2-on-1 Emerson, right on the mark, fake slap shot. Watch this move from the forehand. Oh, man, a little fake to his right, brought Casey out of position, and then goes to the left. If you can focus on the fake shot first, that freezes the goalie. Now from here, Casey was in no man's land, and an easy little move by Tkachuk. And I tell you what, for Keith Tkachuk, he's got his father John and his mother Geraldine in Boston watching this game tonight. And also, he said before the game, make sure you say happy birthday to my brother Kevin, who's also watching. Kevin, happy birthday, you're 24th. You've got a goal from the big brother. Good birthday present from Keith Tkachuk, his 18th goal of the year, his 9th goal in 16 games played against the St. Louis Blues. Former Olympian in '92 in Albertville, and what a job done by he and his teammates tonight. Korolev again, high shot off the stick of Steve Duchesne. Keith Tkachuk at 15:40 of the second period. The assist to Nelson Emerson. It's 5 Blues 1. A final from the Joe. Detroit beats San Jose, and that helps the Jets 3-0
2 goals by Shepard, 1 a power play goal. Fetisov with a goal and 2 assists. Fedorov had 2 assists, and so did Paul Coffey. 3-0 Red Wings over the San Jose Sharks.
And Mike Vernon on fire as well, unbeaten in his last 16 games, and another shutout to add to the totals in this one.
Sambo touches up. We have an icing. Let's take a look at tonight's Pringle storyline. The story in the first period, 2 goals in the first 12 minutes scored by Mike Eastwood, and that led to Curtis Joseph being pulled at the 11:52 mark of the first. Zhamnov and Korolev with a goal and an assist each as the Winnipeg Jets get into this dire situation and perform well.
Little clinic here on one-on-one by Keith Tkachuk. Well, you freeze the goalie, you get him to commit to his left, and you sneak the puck to the right, and you've got an empty 4x6 net. Wow, he's got some great hands.
Such a defensive-minded coach, Mike Keenan. He has to be frustrated with the fact that we haven't even played 2 full games this week. His team against the Winnipeg Jets, and they have allowed 10 goals. Duchesne back around the net. Tim Chevelday. Eaves there. Up ahead, played by Murray. Barron now. Off the body of Teppo Numminen. Near side Murray again. Barron. Given a shoulder by Essatikinen. Steve Duchesne off the boards. Hall tried to bounce it ahead off the shin pad of Teppo Numminen. He's been all over the place tonight. Teppo Numminen, we've said his name on various occasions. And there he is again on cue. Number 1 on the team in plus-minus for the Winnipeg Jets. Adam Creighton. Cross ice to Rick Sambo. Under 3 minutes remains. Turnover at the blue line. Korolev handles there. Korolev tried to hit Tkachuk or Emerson. Up ahead, Adam Creighton now for St. Louis. Creighton for Shanahan. Shanahan backhands it. Tkachuk knocks it down with the stick of the blade. And around the Korolev.
Not many bodies flying in this game.
Emerson spins at the blue line.
Good little spinorama move by Emerson.
Absolutely. 3-time Hobey Baker Award finalist. The only collegiate player ever to be a finalist 3 times. Zombo offside, St. Louis.
You know, I was just getting into the bodies flying. I mean, physically. I mean, I'm just surprised that St. Louis hasn't been more physical against a team that really is a freewheeling team. The Winnipeg Jets, you know, they don't stress a dump and chase method. They don't stress always playing a physical brand, even though they have some physical players. And St. Louis, in their last 9 games, they played a total team game, except for the last game against the Winnipeg Jets, which was pretty inconsistent. Remarkably, their goals against has been terrific in that 9 games, except for that one. But basically, there's been nobody here for the St. Louis Blues to have a great hit. I mean, an earth-shattering hit to really spark the bench up. The only thing that sort of got that bench going at all, if at all, might have been when Curtis Joseph went to the bench and broke his stick in the early parts of the first period. But there has been nothing. It's been flat. There's been no emotion, neither from Mike nor his team on the bench of St. Louis.
Murray Barron shot high and into the stands. That's another souvenir. I'm just going to throw one at you. It makes absolutely no sense, but I'll do it anyway. St. Louis Blues, you really look at the numbers? They're just 4-4 in Canada this year. Could be 4-5 soon.
I wonder what that is.
I don't know.
I saw that today, and I thought, well, you know, a lot of coaches say, well, there's too many distractions. You go to Canada, there's relatives, there's this, there's tickets, there's equipment companies. I don't buy it. I just think it's a number. They haven't played well in Canada.
I just wanted to see if you could come up with something.
I've got no reason
figure out why, though.
whatsoever. Yeah. None at all. I'm sorry. I can pretend to be real smart, but I don't. There's no reason. I could pretend to be real. Oh, that's a good start.
I think that would be a cue for Mike Goldberg to be quiet. Duchesne gives chase. Back behind Teemu Selanne. I like Solanne's attitude with you between periods. Doesn't mind going to the third line tonight. Said, as a matter of fact, he talked to Terry Simpson about that very thing. Wants to get healthy, and any way he can help the team, he's happy to do it. Roberts' quick shot off the arm of Chevelday. Then he's Chassé. Chassé tried to get it up the boards. King strings Teemu Selanne. Chased down by Barron. Selanne can't get the handle. Stick save Casey off the body of Casey, and he freezes the puck. Again, the Jets get a man sprung through the neutral zone so quickly.
It's been remarkable how the St. Louis Blues have not taken away that pass just yet. They're wide open, and they're allowing that pass from either corner of the defensive zone. So after Tim Shovelday makes a save in his own zone, then the Winnipeg Jets, they're getting it going. All you need is a save here and there, then you break out of your own zone. Here's the Calder Trophy line. That's a pretty good shot by Roberts off the left shoulder of Shovelday. And then the breakout right after that. The Winnipeg Jets get her going. And this is right on the tape. Right to Solani. He mentioned in that interview about his knees, and they have been bothering him. And you see right there, he didn't have that full burst of speed that we saw a couple of years ago with those 76 goals. But a good save nonetheless by John Casey.
Calder Trophy Award winner that year. 76 goals, breaking the rookie scoring record for goals of Mike Bossy. Total points of Peter Stastny. Drake against Gilbert. Hall now. Hall riding a 10-game point scoring streak, but yet to be in the box tonight. Drake keeps it in. Gilbert chasing down. Drop pass tipped from Teakin into Hall. Hall now plays over the red line, goes to the blue line, and waits there for help. Pass to Norton, left for Gilbert. Gilbert to the backhand. Again to the backhand. Pad save by Tim Shovelday. Drake back the other way, under a minute left in the period.
The luck for St. Louis was nullified early in this game when Gilbert had that wide open net when it was a 0-0 game, and he missed that one. Well, he just had another real good chance on the backhand.
Basil McRae now plays. Leaves for Carbonneau. He spins around, throws it right to the tape of Eddie Olczyk. Olczyk looks up, checks the clock, gets it ahead to Keith Tkachuk. Tkachuk down the right wing. Now pushes it back behind the net. Barron is there with Eddie Olczyk. Chicago native. Duchesne. Anderson with Shannon on him. Shannon got a stick around, and we're going to have a penalty called on Shannon. Daryl Shannon, as the period has come to an end, got a stick around the streaking Glenn Anderson. And the third period will begin with a power play for the St. Louis Blues, as the officials at this point have said teams go nowhere. And now they say the period has officially come to an end. Another period won by the Jets. They lead 5-1.
Laying it on the Blues. We're in the second intermission. We're back with more Smash right after these commercial messages. We can call this a terrific hockey game if you're a Jets fan. Jets up on the Blues, 5-1.
Welcome back live to the Winnipeg Arena. After two periods of play, the Winnipeg Jets leading the St. Louis Blues by a score of 5-1. The word used around the locker room in Winnipeg today by the Jets, Darren, was desperation, and how they have responded to this desperate situation.
Well, they really need to come out of the gates flying in this one. I think they needed to score the first goal in the game and go from there, and that was obviously important. And Mike Eastwood scored the first goal of this game, gave them a little bit of confidence, but quite simply, they've been moving the puck better than St. Louis. They've been playing the positional game as well. And I think when you get to it, I think there's been some pretty key saves by Tim Shovelday as well.
Yeah, certainly they've come out and shown us great hockey played this evening through two periods.
Well, bottom line was it was a 1-0 game, and it was a shorthanded play. This was huge. This was in the first period, and again, a 1-0 game. There's a great save by Tim Shovelday off of Brett Hull. I think because of that save, the Winnipeg Jets really gained a lot of confidence, and of course, Alexei Zhamnov made it 3-0 with this pretty good effort, and that was the first shot on John Casey. It was a goal after Curtis Jacep was pulled, and then late in that second period too. Watch Tkachuk right here. Keith Tkachuk takes the pass from Emerson, and from this position, he freezes the goaltender with that fake slap shot. Now he's going to let her rip here. He's going to fake to his right, bang, then he's going to go over to his left, and by this time, Curtis Joseph is completely frozen, completely committed, and that makes it a very comfortable 5-1 lead for the Winnipeg Jets.
Tkachuk scoring the goal against John Casey. One goal for the one power forward, that being Keith Tkachuk, and Shanahan with two shots on goal. You look at the statistics through two periods. The shots are pretty even, so are the scoring chances. Face-offs, one is a wash. Neither team dominant on the power play. The only difference is on the scoreboard. 5-1, Winnipeg leading over the St. Louis Blues.
And it's been a real impressive period by Winnipeg. They need to come out strong, though, to get some confidence in this third period and put the St. Louis Blues away.
Kachuk and his teammates will try to do that when we come back. Fire on Ice, ESPN2's coverage of the National Hockey League is brought to you by Molson Ice from Canada, the land where ice was born. Alexei Zhamnov, the number 3 scorer in the National Hockey League. Tonight he earned his 27th goal of the season, a matchup of great scorers. And Brett and Alex, in the comparison, looks this way with a goal and an assist for Zhamnov, and Hall in danger of having his 10-game point scoring streak, the longest in the NHL, come to an end.
Well, it's not like he didn't have his chances early in this hockey game. He really did have a couple of glorious ones. Zhamnov, though, and the way the Winnipeg Jets are playing, it's a free-flowing style of hockey right now. Their breakout passes from their own end into the neutral zone have just been terrific. And once they take care of their own zone inside the blue line, this team will be one to be reckoned with, because led by that Olympic trio that they have, led by Zhamnov himself, man, he has been just terrific this year.
Now, his first 2 seasons he was solid, and this year he's just exploded. Moscow Magician, the number 3 scorer in the National Hockey League, had a goal 2 nights ago against the Blues. Scored again this evening, 5-1, but keep one thing in mind. The reason that it's a desperate situation for the Winnipeg Jets is because this year they have been unable to hold on to third-period leads. So the first 8 to 10 minutes of this third period, monumental for the Winnipeg Jets. They must take every thought of the St. Louis Blues team of coming back to win this game out of their mind, especially given the fact the Blues came back from a deficit 2 nights ago in their own building to beat these very Winnipeg Jets. Norton, the puck squirted out, and it is offside.
Jeff Norton, a big part of the power play unit for Mike Keenan. Norton coming over from the San Jose Sharks in return for Craig Janney. You know, doing the game last night on ESPN2 with San Jose and Chicago, many of the San Jose Sharks said, you know, we really miss Norton. We miss him because he was very well liked in the locker room, a real great team guy, but also he got along so well with the Europeans. I thought that was kind of an odd remark, but there's so many Europeans on San Jose. Norton just had that ability to get along, but so far both Norton and the St. Louis Blues, the power play has really struggled. They still have 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
An 88 Olympian, collegiate at Michigan. The penalty as we went to the break. And LePerrier gets the shot, and it's patted away by Cheveldae. Keith Kachuk. Kachuk working, pushes it in, and now there's 54 seconds remaining in the penalty to Shannon. As we ended the period, Shannon called for the penalty, and there's another stop and an offside on the St. Louis Blues. And the special teams is not something, at least the power play, that Mike Keenan likes to practice a lot, but he's got such talented players that he figures in time, as it was 1 year ago in New York, they'll be effective on the power play.
You know, the power play, he's never worked on that power play. I mean, look at this, though. With Philadelphia, 20.6. With Chicago, 20.7. And the Rangers last year were the best power play in the league. Now, this one has struggled. Mike was still trying to convince me this morning, though, hey, look, in our last, 7 or 8 games, our power play has been up there right around 23%. But because of the shortened season, there's no way we can get the actual number up. But he was fairly pleased with his power play. They scored 2 power play goals against Winnipeg in that last game.
Barrier. And they're working the end of this power play again to 34 seconds on the penalty to number 24, Daryl Shannon. Duchesne. You know, Duchesne worried about the trade rumors. Mike Keenan said he never once considered. He said they need McGinnis and Duchesne on the power play. McGinnis out tonight, a scratch with the flu.
Actually, pneumonia.
Oh, that's not good. Drake has a man on the wing. Drake shoots it himself, and the save made by John Casey. Duchesne now. Paul trying to work. Stefan Quintal gets the shot. Norton on the boards, keeps it in. Eastwood. Penalty has come to an end. Both teams back at full strength. Coming away with the puck, Teemu Selanne. Playing tonight on the 3rd line, but he's still been effective. Gets it ahead. Gilbert plays for St. Louis. Back to Hall. Hall tried to get it across quickly to Tikkanen. Pass was intercepted by Quintal. One-time pass ahead to Eastwood. He's looking for the hat trick. Eastwood working against Murray Barrett. Up ahead, Manson to chase it down for the Winnipeg Jets. Tikkanen on the forecheck for St. Louis. Up the backhand to King. Across Loose puck going to be played by Jeff Norton. Manson gets a stick on him, drives him into the boards. Eastwood picks up the loose puck. Jets to the left wing and Chris King. King streaks up towards center ice. Backhand pass to no one. Shanahan can't handle. Across to Lidster. Lidster ahead to Glenn Anderson. Anderson dumps on net. Shannon now plays. Shannon ahead now. Solani just a little touch pass to Eddie Olczyk. Olczyk already has 2 goals. Tkachuk, 2 goals since he has come to Winnipeg for Eddie Olczyk in 2 games. Olczyk, Holder gets there first. Clears the zone. Shanahan up the left wing. Loose puck will be played by the Jets. Shannon ahead. Holder to play in the neutral zone. Backhand pass. Basil McRae working Brown. Off the board, Keith Tkachuk. He bounces it in. It's played by Murray Barron. The icing is waved off. McCulchuk plays to Shannon. To Carbonneau. Murray tries to hit him.
It's been like pond hockey so far. Not a whole lot of physical activity.
That's been the case really the whole evening, Darren. You mentioned it earlier. Not a lot of big hits. Up ahead, Basil McRae. Newman in plays. Gets it ahead to Randy Gillen. Gillen has a right winger. Tried to thread the pass to him high in the air. Barron gets a glove on it. It was Craig Martin streaking down the right wing. Duchesne now. Duchesne. Net at the blue line and stuck away, and there's an offside.
And the Winnipeg Jets have a commanding 5-1 lead here at the arena. Back in a moment. Basil McRae goes head over heels right there, and the Winnipeg Jets clear their zone.
Made now by the Jets. They have a strong lead of 5-1. Zemnoff with a goal in the game. Zemnoff ahead, just in front of the stick of Korolev. He chases it down with Zombo on him. Zombo gives him a touch behind the net. Up ahead. Hall. And a stop by Zemnoff. Saturday night here on the Deuce. Fire on ice. The Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens also fighting for their playoff life. It's Saturday at 7:30. The Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens. And my partner of the night, Darren Pang, will be doing that game. And Darren, when you go on the road, you get hungry, don't you?
I do get hungry.
All right, now I got a little secret for you. Stephane Quintal owns a Subway franchise in Montreal. So you talk to him now, I bet you get a free sandwich when you get up to Montreal.
That is a great. That's a wonderful thing. I'm going to make sure I get all over that.
There you go.
I love going to Montreal for a Subway sandwich.
Talk to Stephane, he'll take care of you.
All right. Say some good things about him here.
There you go. He's played great tonight, hasn't he? Manson touches up, and there you see number 4, Stephane Quintal.
Quintal, actually another former St. Louis Blue here for the Winnipeg Jets. And, well, they had some miscommunication on that game-winning goal the other night at the Kiel Center. They were talking about it between him and Tim Shelday, who should have played the puck. But obviously communication a little bit better in this game. 5 goals, 12 helpers, 17 points for Quintal. Also a former member of the Boston Bruins, came over to St. Louis in that Craig Janney Quintal for Adam Oates deal. And Adam Oates, by the way, congratulations on agreeing to that $10 million 5-year deal with Harry Sinden in the Boston Bruins.
Up ahead now through the neutral zone. Murray ahead for Winnipeg. 14 minutes and 20 seconds remains here at the Winnipeg Arena. The situation simple for the Winnipeg Jets. They need to win 8 of their last 11 games, and they are in control here against the St. Louis Blues. Martin now. Martin wants to work. Bounced off by Murray Barron. 6 home games, including tonight, remaining for the Winnipeg Jets. 5 on the road, where they have struggled so dearly this hockey season. The worst road team in the National Hockey League, the Winnipeg Jets. Good defensive effort for a team. And coming into tonight, in their last 4 games, had allowed 5 goals a contest. He moves Solani. Solani puts on the brakes at the blue line, poked away by Rick Sambo. Shannon now pushes it ahead. Perrier, and we have an offside called on the Blues.
You know, I would think that because of the sensitivity, I think, of Winnipeg leading and losing games, that the St. Louis Blues would have a little bit more jump and a little bit more emotion. For the last several minutes, I've been watching that bench, and Mike, I know he hasn't said that many things back there, along with Ted Sater, his assistant coach. Very quiet. The players are emotionless so far. One goal could really change things around. And I know the Blues have been on a pretty good roll, but in the last couple of games, they haven't played that well. 22-11-3, 47 points. But the key here really is the Winnipeg Jets on the second part of that page. And bang, a victory here puts them right out in the thick of things. And I was talking to Neil Wilkinson just as I was racing through between the periods. He said, man, we're right in this thing. You know, we are right in there. There's a lot of teams. All you need is you just need to get on a little bit of a roll here to end it and get into the playoffs.
Lister now plays for St. Louis. Up ahead to Shanahan. Shanahan with time. Quick shot goes wide. Puck rolls down, and it will be played there by John Casey. Keith Tkachuk said the Jets, despite their continued struggles, are playing as well right now as they have all season long. But they continue to stop attacking in certain situations and play on the back of their skates. And tonight,
77.